So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining our ReferKent Spotlight session with Carers Support East Kent. Just to confirm that we are recording this afternoon's webinar, so as I said, please feel free to keep your camera off if you feel you wish to. I'd ask everyone to also mute their microphones whilst the presentation is going on, and we'll have some time for questions at the end. So over to Jason, and I'll let them introduce themselves and take the session from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Good afternoon to everybody. I'm Jason McCarthy, and I'm the Services Manager of Carer Support East Kent, and I'm with my colleague Eleanor today, and we'll both be taking you through a presentation basically to show the different kinds of support that we offer carers and what we do. And as Mark said, if anybody's got any questions at the end of the presentation, then we'll be happy to answer them for you. So basically, Carer Support, we've been here 23 years in East Kent. We're currently covering the areas of Ashford and Canterbury, Thanet and South Kent Coast. So who are carers? So, before we go into this presentation, just so everybody has an understanding of who unpaid carers are, that with a definition is, a carer is someone who looks after a relative or a friend who, due to physical or mental illness, age-related difficulties, disability or an addiction, they cannot manage without their support. So carers of all ages come from all walks of life and backgrounds. Carers are unpaid and are not the same as care workers. People do get that confused sometimes. Many carers combine caring for someone with paid work, and carers provide a very valuable and often invisible role in society. An interesting fact is 2 in 3 of us will care, and there's a 50-50 chance that one of us will become a carer by the time we reach our 50s. And the last census in 2021, there was officially 62,000 carers in East Kent, but of course we know there's a lot more because there's still a lot of carers who don't identify themselves as carers.
So a little bit about what carers do. So it's estimated that unpaid carers in England and Wales contribute a staggering £145 million to the economy every day, which is obviously saving the NHS and social care an awful lot of money. And it's estimated there could be as much as 10.6 million carers in the UK. But what does a carer do? What a carer can do is so varied. So we've broken it down into a couple of different categories. So administer medicine, that can be anything as from picking up the medication from a pharmacy for a loved one, to making sure that someone takes it, making sure someone's taking a safe dose, sorting out dossier boxes. Practical support, cleaning, doing the shopping, making the food for somebody, keeping the house clean and safe. Emotional support. So there's an awful lot of emotional support needed for those with ill health that carers will provide. A lot of carers are very lonely and isolated, and the only conversations they have with each other are between the carer and the cared for. So there's a lot of emotional support to and from, actually. Personal care. So that's anything from just prompting someone to do their personal care, so reminding someone that they need to brush their teeth every day or have a shave, to fully washing someone every single day. If people struggle with incontinence, is supporting around that throughout the day as well. So that can be sort of 24/7 levels of care. Financial matters, particularly if carers have power of attorney, but often they're dealing with the bills, banking, anything like that, any other paperwork. And then physical help, so supporting people to move around the house, supporting people with their mobility, lifting things up, that sort of thing. So being a carer can be anything, really, from the very, very small to the massive 24/7 care that some people provide, and we support them all within that range. So we always like to think carer, what is the impact that caring has on someone day to day? And we've got some statistics on this slide here from Carers UK from last year. At 82% of carers said that caring has an impact on their physical and their mental health. And we see this every day in the conversations that we have. I don't think a day goes past that we don't speak to a carer that has some sort of mental health condition as a result of being a carer. Like I said, they're very isolated. There's an awful lot of stress and anxiety on them. And then the physical impact often comes from the lack of sleep, maybe physically having to support someone to move, and not having enough time to attend their own medical appointments, to cook and eat healthily. All has that long-term impact on their physical health. So 79% of carers report feeling stressed or anxious. 50% of them report feeling lonely or isolated. 44% said they have put off health treatment. And this is often because they cannot leave their cared for alone safely. We have a lot of carers who are the only carer for their cared for their loved one. And there is no one else who can step in that moment to allow the carer just to pop off to the dentist or to the GP for 15 minutes or whatever it might be. They don't have that time. So they put things off until they can't put it off anymore. And 69% of carers find it difficult to get a good night's sleep. And once again, that could be because of stress and anxiety, but also because their cared for gets up multiple times during the night or needs that 24/7 around the clock care, and they don't have anybody else to come in and give them that break. So when we're thinking about carers, I think, do you provide help or assistance to someone who would struggle without that help? Rather than asking someone, do they identify as a carer? We find that a lot of people will say, oh, I'm not a carer. I'm just their husband or their wife or their friend. I'm just doing what I want to do because I love them and I want to support them. And don't recognise that actually what they're doing is being a carer and helping someone who wouldn't be able to cope without that help. So whenever you're working with service users and you're trying to identify if someone is a carer, we always encourage you to have a look at asking that question: is there someone that you do help who generally wouldn't be able to cope without you being there, however small that is, and then going in and investigating what that means to them, rather than going straight in with the word carer. The word carer can be quite off-putting for some people, particularly from a range of different sort of cultural backgrounds as well. People tend to steer away from using the word carer. So it's worth, stick to that question. Is there someone who wouldn't be able to cope without them? So on the screen now, we've got a list of all of the support services that we offer, and we'll go into these all in quite some detail during our presentation today. But in summary, so we provide information. We have a phone number that carers can call with our members of staff in our hub team who can support carers with information and advice, whether that's information on carers' rights or signposting or referring to other services that might be able to benefit them. Support, so we can do sort of one-to-one support where needed. We do support groups. We do a whole range of different social activities. In the past, we've done like alpaca walking, trips to Walmer Castle, spa days, afternoon teas, things to get carers together, a chance to meet each other, and more importantly, have a break from their caring role. Carers assessments as well, which we'll go into in some detail in a minute. Kent Carers emergency cards. So these are cards that we provide all of our carers that identify them as a carer with someone vulnerable at home. And the hope is that these cards, if the carer was ever in an accident themselves when they're out and about, worst case scenario, this card would be found on them and it would be reported that someone was at home and they needed their help. And someone would call the number written on the card and make sure that everybody was safe. So we encourage carers to carry these with them in their purse, in their wallet, and also to have a photo of these on the lock screen of their phone. So I say, worst case scenario, it's identified that they're a carer and someone else needs help. And we have a carers hospital service, which Jason will talk about in a minute. And we have our young adult carer service. So we have a couple of team members who work specifically with 16 to 24-year-old young adult carers, as they need a more specialised service. And they also work quite closely with the local sixth form colleges and universities as well, to support young adult carers to continue accessing education. So we work in partnership with Connect Well East Kent, who provide the community navigation service for over 55s and those under 55s with complex needs. And as you can see, we've listed on here all of the support services that we offer, and we've got some quotes on the slide there from some of the carers that we've worked with. So I'll give you a minute to read through some of them. I know you're going to be sent through the slides as well, so you can read through them then. So as I mentioned, we already do, as I already mentioned, we do a service for young adult carers, but we also have a specific service for mental health carers. So they are carers who either have a mental health condition themselves or care for someone with a mental health condition. And we have specialised members of our team who work with those carers. And we also work within the primary care networks and attend multidisciplinary meetings to support our carers. Okay, so carers assessments. So all carers have the right to have a carers assessment if they wish to have one. You simply need to be over 18 and caring for another adult. And this will take place by the organisation of the area that the cared for lives in. So if it's East Kent, that's ourselves. And this gives the carer an opportunity to talk about what life is as a carer, and to explore all of the support that's available to them, whether that's from ourselves, from social services, from KCC, or from other organisations. We go into quite some detail with the carer. So our average carers assessments normally take about 2 hours to complete with the carer, and we'll either do that in their home with them or we'll meet them out in the community, depending on the carer's preference. When we're doing the carers assessments, what we're trying to do is assess them for what support's going to help them manage to continue in their caring role, or if the carer wants to leave or reduce their caring role, what support we can put in place to make that as safe as possible. What we won't do is create a support plan alongside the carer, outlining all of the support that they're entitled to. And that might include a carer's personal budget, such as a direct payment or a carer's one-off payment. So as a carer's personal budget are used to help meet an eligible unmet need, according to the National Eligibility of Carers. So on the slide here, we've got an example about a carer that we've worked with and the personal budget they received. But it all comes down to a case-by-case situation, what the carer needs, and then we work out how we can fit that in from the process of sort of best value. So this carer was looking after their spouse who had Alzheimer's, and their cared for had sort of lost their ability to speak English and was reverting to Spanish. So we were able to get them a personal budget to pay for Spanish lessons to allow that carer to continue to communicate with their cared for. And we also gave them support to manage in the home in the form of a ongoing direct payment to pay for a cleaning service, to give that carer a bit more free time back, which allowed them to return to work part-time, which is something they wanted to do for their own well-being.
Okay, so we have 13 carers groups across East Kent, and we also have 3 online groups. So it's very difficult for some carers to actually have that commitment and that time to come to a carers group. So we try to offer carers as much choice as we can by having free online groups, which, you know, as long as they do have access to Zoom, they can join our online groups. And our groups offer a chance for carers to come together, to form new friendships, talk about their experiences. Sometimes their experiences can help each other because they're in the same situation, maybe haven't thought about something. And we also have a very long list of regular sort of guest speakers, and carers can tell us who they would like to speak to, something that is relevant to them. So we will always take the choice from the carers of who they would like to come along and give them a talk, and that could be on well-being, it could be on mental health, it could be somebody coming and talk about benefits, it could be solicitors talking about attorney, and anything that's relevant to carers. We can bring those guest speakers in. They all run once a month, but because we have 13, they're running quite regularly, and you can see the areas, which we try to spread the areas out as much as we can. So we have Hythe, we have New Romney, we have Ashford, we have Hawkinge, Canterbury, Faversham, Whitstable, Herne Bay. We have 2 in Margate, because one's in Westbrook, one's in Margate, 1 in Birchington, in Minnis Bay, and Dover and Dale. So our carers hospital service, we work very, very closely with the discharge teams across the William Harvey, the Kent and Canterbury, and the QEQM. And the aim of this service is to identify carers as early as possible. So each of the team members will attend a hub meeting every day of the week for a particular hospital, where the discharge team will talk about patients and care and who have carers who are going to be discharged, to bring us in to start that support with the carers and speak to the carers and they're cared for, to find out exactly what kind of support they may need at discharge. So we ensure that carers are proactively offered support. We actively involve carers in plans for the hospital care and discharge for the person they look after, so the carers have that voice as well. And we will then look to see whether they actually want to be connected into the community, and that could be just simply signposting to relevant services that they may be requiring, or they could come into our own community service where they would receive a carers assessment, or just more basic one-to-one support, maybe around emotional support. The actual service will offer up to 2 weeks of support after discharge, and in that time we can look at putting packages in for the care at discharge, because it's a very distressing time. Sometimes it might be really a difficult time, so we can look at maybe bringing in somebody, a care organisation, who could do some cleaning or some cooking, a sit-in service, just for that carer to sort of and the cared for to have that 2 weeks of just getting back into normal life with a little bit of support that sometimes they will require. So grants are something that we're really proud of here at Carer Support, and we have what's called Time for Me, which is such great budgets where we can look at carers breaks, we can look at well-being, so many different things that we can do, and there's just a couple of examples that we've listed here just to give you some kind of idea of breaks for carers. It could be that simply that they haven't been to the theatre for years, so we can get theatre tickets, cinema tickets. We've got carers caravan club membership, where they used to go caravanning, but it's got so difficult, but actually it's something they can do together. So we've got caravan membership, so they can actually have some holidays together. Just mini breaks away, social and well-being, gym membership. We get lots of gym memberships. They are so important for people's physical health and their well-being. Spa days, we do spa days every so often. Carers absolutely love that. Cream tea lunches. We offer this throughout the year, and that's always a big takeoff for that. And then basic things like fold-away wheelchairs, electric bikes. People who have fished in the past and actually now they're a carer, they're missing that whole fishing experience, but that gets them out and it gets them into the fresh air. So we've got fishing licenses for people. Carefree Breaks is something new that we've just gone into. Basically, Carefree Breaks are a fantastic organisation. They're a national organisation. They work with probably thousands, but I would say hundreds of hotels, where hotels will donate rooms. So basically, they will look at who they've got booked up in. They will donate certain rooms at certain times of the year to Carefree Break. So basically, there's a on their website there's a live map that shows all the hotels that are involved in dates. So carers will come through and register with us, and they can have a hotel break anywhere in the country, but sometimes it's much easier for the carer to have a break more local because basically that they don't want to go too far away from the cared for. So the break is purely for the carer and to take a companion or another family member. It isn't for the cared for because it really is a break. And these breaks can be 2 nights with breakfast. And the only admin fee is a £33 fee that carers Carefree Breaks actually need to set this up, but it's fantastic for carers. We also look at the funding for all the very basic stuff that carers need sometimes: white goods, fridge, freezer, washing machine, tumble dryers, ovens. We've got driving lessons through grants, especially for our young adult carers. We've got grants for driving lessons and for the theory tests to take online. So we've done that. Sofa beds and mattresses, laptops to keep on linking people up if they're actually caring so much in the home that they're missing that communication with people. That we've got laptops and we've got tablets so they can connect with family still. And over the past year, we've sourced £28,324 for our grants, and we're always looking at bringing in more money for our carers. So this is just one particular story, and Mark will share the slides afterwards so you can actually read the story in full. But Shona was supported by our young adult team. And basically, Shona was heading for a carer's breakdown. It's a very common word term that's used just where carers maybe have got their own physical health or well-being. Shona had some physical health problems. Her caring role as such a young person was really impacting on her well-being. So, and it was impacting on her work. She was feeling overwhelmed. But she wanted to continue her caring, but she needed an outlet for herself. She needed to look after herself. So we were able to apply to the Grassroots Carers Respite Fund to provide a leisure membership to support Shona's mental health and physical health. Shona was connected to other organisations like ReferKent and Crossroads. And she's also supported carer support to raise awareness. And just when you read the story in full, it's just so lovely that Shona couldn't swim before she got the gym membership, but she learned to swim and she learned to ride bikes, and an aim of hers was to be in a triathlon. And that photograph there is her finishing a triathlon, which was always an absolute aim for her and a goal. And you can see how happy she is, and just what that gym membership made such a massive difference to her life. So some of the other things Carer Support is we are Carers Trust Network partner. We're affiliated member of Carers UK and a member of the Carer Poverty Coalition that I'll go into a little more detail on another slide. Some annual dates that are always in our calendar. Carers awareness campaigns, Carers Week. Once again, it's coming up in June, and we got another slide just to give you a little bit more about what's happening in Carers Week from us as an organisation. Carers Rights Day and Young Adults Carers Actions Day. So we will get involved in that. There's always a theme of the year, so we'll look at the theme, and then we'll put things on those particular days, but sometimes not just on particular days. It might be around that week or that month. Especially for young adult carers, there'll be certain things that our young adult carer workers will be putting on that month, just to highlight the rights that young adult carers do have. We work with employees, so as you're all aware now, in employment, there's the care leave now. So employees are entitled to up to a week of unpaid leave if they're a carer. So we're able to help other employees to have carers awareness, to understand in their workforce who are carers. That might be a questionnaire just to find that out, or they might have their own systems in their HR department that already know that. And it's just making sure that all organisations have that awareness of how flexible sometimes you have to be if you have a carer who's working with you. Sometimes planning that week off might not be possible, but it may well be. But sometimes it may be the case that there's an emergency day is needed because the person they care for is unwell, or there's an appointment that they didn't know was coming, and that appointment might not even be local. It might need to go to a specialist hospital in London, for example. So it's just having that awareness of how you support your workforce, and we're able to do that. We're able to work with other employees, work with health trusts, raise awareness of carers, and shape practice. As Ellen has already said, we work really closely with primary care. We attend multidisciplinary meetings. We're in partnership with the Kent East Kent Hospitals University Trust. So we're always working very closely with health trusts across Kent, and we have our own carers advisory group. So basically, we have carers who are in this group who will help us to when we bring in policy or procedure, or when we're looking at new projects. Then we'll have our carers advisory group involved in that. So everything is shaped with a carer's voice at our organisation. So Carers Week this year is coming up. It's the 10th of June to the 16th of June. And during that week, as an organisation, we have got 2 carers connection days, as we're calling them this year. And one of them is at the Turner Centre in Margate, and that's on Tuesday the 11th of June, 11 AM to 3 PM. And then on Wednesday the 12th of June in Westgate Hall in Canterbury, we have our second event, and we have lots and lots of really great partners who we work with coming to these events. Some of them will be purely a market stall situation, but others are going to be presenting, demonstrating some of the things that they do. So the days will be full with different kinds of variety for carers to come and attend. The theme for this year is putting carers on the map. So this is why we're including so many organisations who work across Kent to come in and link in with carers to make carers aware of what support they do, as well as what we can offer. During that week, we will also be having stalls at supermarkets, raising awareness. So we'll be all the major supermarkets, places like Westwood Cross. And we will also be doing some very different things at our carers groups that week. And during the month of June, some really nice things. We're putting some funding into having lunches and taking carers out. Our deal group, Walmer Council, have donated tickets for us to take our carers to Walmer Castle, where they'll be having lunch at Walmer Castle. I think it's a picnic, so we hope the weather's going to be nice for that. So there's lots of really nice things going on for carers, and our social media during the week will also just be highlighting carers and just bringing that awareness in, which is the annual thing that we do every year. And it's getting bigger and bigger. So yeah, please, if any of you are free, please feel free to come along on those dates as well. You'll be most welcome. Going back to what I said earlier, we are also members of the Carer Poverty Coalition, and launched a joint manifesto calling on all political parties to commit to taking action to end poverty for unpaid carers. So unpaid carers do an absolutely invaluable work in providing care for the family and friends. As Ellen has already said, carers actually save the NHS exactly the same amount of money which the NHS is funded for each year. Yet many carers are facing serious financial difficulties, with nearly 1 in 3 carers struggling to make ends meet. So we are also supporting the new petition. You may have heard about it. It's been quite recent in the news, calling for urgent reforms on carers allowance to ensure that it properly supports carers and puts an end to the devastating overpayments that some carers are facing. And just some horrible stats really, but yeah, they're true stats. 28% of carers live in poverty, compared to 20% of those who aren't in a caring role. 34% of carers are in receipt of carers allowance live in poverty. That has doubled the rate to what it was 10 years ago. It's just over £82 for a carer, and they have to evidence that they are working the 35, they are caring for somebody more than 35 hours a week. And that can be quite difficult sometimes to actually evidence that amount of time, but you only will qualify for carers allowance if you can evidence that you are caring for somebody for 35 hours or more, which of course is a full-time job, but actually carers allowance is £82. 34% of carers are cutting back on essentials such as food and heating. Once again, you know, it's quite a depressing stat, but it's quite high, but we see that all the time. Carers going to food banks, cutting back on using their electric and gas over the winter. So we do everything we can just to give them advice and support them of how they can actually do that a lot better. So contacting us and making referrals. So we are here. We're here to talk to carers by telephone, email. We have a live chat, so you can speak to somebody in person. We have our website that is absolutely full of information. That's where professionals can make referrals, as well as ReferKent, of course. So we're part of ReferKent, so you can make referrals to us through that platform. Professionals can make referrals through our website. If social services are making referrals to us for a carers assessment, that will always come through the Mosaic KCC system. That's how we receive those referrals. And for carers, self-referrals, they can phone, and by pressing 2, they come through to Connect Well first. As Eleanor already said, they're our partner over in East Kent, so they come through to Connect Well, and if they need Connect Well support, that's as far as it'll go. But if they actually identify that they want to speak to somebody at carer support because they're a carer, then it will come through to us. We have a tech service. Carers can also make self-referrals on our website. And any of you guys can prescribe to our Carers News Bulletin by going onto our website as well. And we also have a What's On our website, so that has all our groups listed, but it also has different things that we might be doing different times of the year that aren't a regular thing that we do. So yeah, always check with What's On page as well. So we are the Blue, so we are Carers Support East Kent, and then you will see the other carers organisations who operate across Kent, just to make it clear, because obviously there are the boundaries of where the cared for lives and what carers organisation is able to support carers. So you have Involve in West Kent, you have Imago in North Kent, you have Carers First in Medway, and then Crossroads operate across Kent and Medway. And there you go. So that is us. And if anybody has any questions, we will try to ask them for you.
Sorry, can I just ask, who do Imago cover? What areas does Imago cover?
Imago is North Kent.
North Kent. And
Yeah.
Involve?
Involve is West Kent.
West Kent. No.
Yeah. Yeah. And Carers First in Medway.
Yeah, I got the others, but I missed
Yeah,
that one.
yeah.
Thank you.
And just to say on that, we do have Involve Kent doing a session next month. So you'll be able to hear from partners in the other end of the county. Someone's just put a note in the chat. Can you please just reiterate how to access the newsletter, please?
If you go to our website, there's a link right at the bottom of the homepage that says subscribe to our newsletter. Put your email address in there and then you'll be signed up.
I'm just going to move back on the slides as well to the page with the contact details as well. So in case anyone wanted to sort of grab a screenshot of that now or take down any notes. But as I promised at the beginning, I will send out the slides to everyone after the session's finished this afternoon. Oh, Nikki's got a hand up. Hold on. Hello, Nikki.
I was just going to take it down again if you were going to carry on. Hello there. I know we had a meeting some time ago I think from the Thanet Employability Forum, and I think we sort of spoke about support that Shore Trust could potentially give to carers. So some of the sessions that you're running in the various different towns, would it be worth us coming along and attending and talking to some of those carers about the support we can offer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
We can arrange that, no problem.
Perfect. Right, I'll pop you an email after this.
That's okay.
Great. Thank you.
Great.
Nikki that got in there and just in the nick of time. I was about to close the doors. So just to say again, thank you to Jason and Eleanor for your presentation this afternoon. Thank you for everyone attending this afternoon as well. Your time is much appreciated, and I hope you found the session of value. We do have lots more spotlight sessions coming up over the next couple of months, so do keep an eye on our newsletter and the LinkedIn feed for sort of information on that as well.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Okay. So yeah, so thank you very much, everyone, again, and enjoy the rest of your days. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Right,
Thank
right,
you.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.